Hey everyone. So I enjoyed making a video so much last week that I decided to do the same thing again this week. However, this is actually turning into two videos because we've had intermittent Wi-Fi issues all day today in my district. So I already made this video once and lost it. Um, but it's okay. So I am not in prison. This is just one of the offices I work out of, so try not to be too distracted by the prison like walls. And today, for this week, we were talking about concrete examples and spaced practice. So, um, honestly, when I was reading and doing all of the learning associated with concrete examples, I really resonated with something the learning scientist said. The lady said in the article part next to the podcast um, that said teachers have a curse of knowledge. And I've heard this before, and I really did feel that way when kind of digging into into the idea of a concrete example, because it really does just seem like, duh, like it's going to help with learning if you give them either an example that is relatable to real life or something that they can connect with that is less abstract. So, as a math student, when I was, in my undergrad and an economics minor, having being able to make those concrete examples with different types of theories like Pythagorean theorem and supply and demand theory, um, always made it seem, a lot more real, and that I can connect to the material more. As a teacher, as a math teacher, being able to um, give students an example of something that they can connect with in their real life to showcase the material. Um, I didn't get into too much, abstract theories, I guess, unless I was looking at more like, unit circle, things like that in my upper level math teaching. Um, but sometimes, those concrete examples are a little bit more concrete than in some examples other than others. Sometimes when teachers, will give maybe exponential growth examples in their class with their students, and it'll be like, yeah, when you're buying a car or, on your mortgage or your student loans. And these kids are like 15. So it really doesn't, talking about a car, more so like a mortgage, you know, not really quite as concrete in real life as some others examples could be. I did appreciate in that podcast, though, that they talked about multiple examples, because that goes back to use multiple examples so that you can kind of disassociate the the surface area parts of your example. Like when she talked about how the students in her class really got grabbed onto the candy when she was trying to teach positive reinforcement. So if you're able to give multiple examples, the students are able to see um, not so much or in addition to what a abstract example or theory is, but also what it is not, and the differences that come with different examples. Um, Now, the part of this week's learning that I really did was like, really applicable and I could really grab into and dive into was the space practice example. I remember back when I was an undergrad, and I had a math professor who said there was a few of us in her office, and she said, now we were all studying for the test that was, the next day or in a couple of days or whatever. And she said, no, you're not going to go home and cram for it, right? Because that's not going to do you any good. It's not going to stick. And like, yeah. That was totally what I was intending on doing, was cramming for it. But then also recognizing that doesn't do me any good, because yeah, it's right there for that test. But then when I go back for the final exam, I'm going to have to do the whole cramming piece over again. So the idea of just intermittent spacing of your learning is going to help make it stick, because you see a little bit of it and then you give yourself a break, and then you see a little bit of it and then you give yourself a break, and then you're able to jog that retrieval process so much more efficiently. As a math teacher, math is very sequential. So we would do, what we learn about in this unit is going to match up to what we do in this unit. But then we might take, like in an algebra class, okay, now we're going to take a little pause on some of that stuff and we're going to dive into some statistics, which might not grab these things. But then I'm going to come back after statistics. I'm going to talk about, trigonometric theory, and I'm going to grab some of those algebraic things. So the kids are actually doing that retrieval process kind of organically throughout the study throughout a course. As a learner, I work in technology now, instructional technology, but I do a lot of troubleshooting. And I don't always have the opportunity to solve a similar problem several times in a row to be able to make, the process of solving that problem stick. So I will see a problem, solve it, get the same problem back later, and it's like, how did I do that again? Or did I even know that I could do that? So now I'll give you an example of sometimes I have a kid who can't connect to their rostered apps through a program that we use. And now I've learned, because it's happened, once every 6 months, it comes up that they're a new student and their information that might not be correct in our SIS. So now after I've seen it intermittently, I can now retrieve some more of those troubleshooting practices to make myself a little bit more efficient when I'm solving problems. So that's what I've got. I'm going to be very mindful to make sure that A, this video uploads, and B, that I attach the subtitles to it, so that I can make sure that I'm being inclusive. And if you can think of any concrete examples that work, that attached kind of to mine, or better examples, I'd love to hear them from you. So I'll see everybody in the discussion forum. Have a great week.